So, before my trip to Colorado, I found one more project to do. After towing my flatbed the other day, I noticed that I was back to a rear end squatting situation, which I eliminated on the blue truck by putting extra springs in, but it really screwed up the ride, made it very rough. So I decided that before I head out of here, I'm gonna put some airbags on the F-450. So I went with the AirLift 5000 Ultimate Plus. This is the kit with the joust bumper inside, as well as the stainless steel plates and hardware, braided steel airlines and all of that. And I've also got a AirLift compressor, which is the easy fit version of that, which is supposed to be a no drill bolt to the frame installation. So they say it's about a 3-hour job, so we'll put that to the test, and I highly doubt it. It's probably a 3-hour job for somebody who's done this before. So I'm going to start putting these airbags together, bolting it all up, getting it ready for the truck, and we'll be back shortly. One thing leads to another. Well, my old floor jack wasn't high enough to lift this thing up. Wasn't strong enough either, which meant quick trip to Harbor Freight, get a 3-ton jack. I should have measured the floor jacks as well. The ones I got aren't tall enough for that either, so I had to put them on some 4x4s. Not the least sketchy thing in the world, but this is going to be a quick job, and if I survive, I'll get some new ones of those as well. Alright, the first thing we got to do here is, after assembling those airbags, which took about a half hour, first thing we got to do on the truck is, now that we got the axles at full suspension, we got to go in here and take these jounce bumpers off of here. Looks like it's just a couple of screws, and then we should be ready to start putting the airbag assemblies right on. So far so good. Alright, we have the springs assembled, and the upper brackets are ready to get mounted up onto the top of the frame, and then we'll be ready to put the actual spring into there and then fasten it to the bottom. So far so good. I forgot how nice it was to work on a new truck where you're not fighting every rusty bolt. All right, we're now at the 2-hour and 45-minute mark, and the airbags are in. It's a little bit of a pain, but we got it done. Look nice there. Now, I did not install the air lines yet, because I'm not just gonna pipe these in and have them manually inflatable. I did get the kit so that it's going to have remote control and monitoring, so that while you're driving, if the pressure changes, they will automatically adjust themselves to whatever preset pressure you have. I also have a little phone app that you can use to do that, so not too bad. Their time estimate was pretty accurate. One guy never did this before. 2 hours and 45 minutes to get here. Now, if I would have had to pipe the lines in, it might have been another half hour. So, but all in all, I'm happy. Last night we got the air springs all installed, everything except for the running the airlines. And tonight we got the Wireless One Easy Mount Air Compressor kit. Now, this is the one that has the little remote control, so that you can automatically air the springs up or down, and it's supposed to come with everything you need. So as I was underneath the truck looking for a place to put this, they say to put it on the passenger side outside of the frame. There are a lot of wires running on these things, and I couldn't find a really good place for this. So instead of putting it out there in the elements, I decided to make a little change and mount it right inside the bed. What I did was I took a couple of extra large self-tapping screws and I bolted it right to the side of the bed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole in there to run the airlines and wire through. I got to see what kind of grommets I have. Then we're going to go ahead and get those stainless steel lines run and get the power run and see if it works. It's always a little nerve-wracking drilling into a new truck, but being that it's aluminum doesn't make it quite so scary. So after I mounted it, I put a couple holes in the side of the bed, through which I put in some grommets and then fed one hole for the airline and one for the power cables. So all I gotta do now is hook up the power, and then we'll find out if we got any leaks and see if I did this right. All right, well, I'm down here. Just want to show you guys this real quick. This is the resonator for the rear exhaust, and it's kind of close to the airbag. So they give you a heat shield that you have to bend up a little bit and strap to the resonator. The resonator on this is pretty big, so what I ended up doing was they gave me two different size band clamps, and I ended up having to put them together end to end in order to be big enough to get them around this giant can here. So that's the first thing. And then you can see up here, got my braided stainless steel lines. Got those all up there and zip tied into place. So trying to keep everything nice and neat and tight and away from the exhaust as far as possible. Those things run over to the passenger side, and then they run up the wheel well. Sorry for the lousy camera work, but they run up the wheel well through the wall into the inside of the bed to the compressor. Here you can see where the wiring is coming down. Wire wrapped everything, put a tie every about 6 to 12 inches. That's the airline. The black line is the airline going up into the fender, into the dually fender, and then through the wall of the inside of the bed. And then you can see over there, right in the middle of the screen, straight ahead, there's a little brass piece. That's the Schrader valve that goes into the wheel well, so that if there's a problem with the compressor, you can manually fill or empty out those airbags. Under the hood here, you can see there's the yellow little crimp end over there. That's a battery connection. That's a positive connection to the battery. Ran the wires up through along the firewall here as best as I could. And then right now I just kind of jammed a fuse into the ignition relay wire, and then I put the ground on the wall, and that was pretty much it for the electrical. As soon as I get my fuse tap tomorrow from the auto parts store, I will replace that little rigged up 10 amp fuse with the pink wire coming out of it, and do it the right way with a fuse tap. I could not find the uprigger wire leads. They said they were under the dashboard, but I am not sure, so I figured this would be the easier, safer way to do it. And now comes the moment of truth. We have the remote controller. Let's see if this baby does anything. Oops. I'll set that to 20 PSI. I don't know if you can see that. And it kicked in. Woohoo! All right. I lifted it up. Now let's try going back down again. Say I set a 20. Hit the downs. 2, 3. Set that to 5. And too bright. Ooh, and it kicks it down. Very nice. I can't believe that all worked out. Right now I got the thing set at 5 PSI. Then you got the little controller. I got programmed for 40 or something like that. Hit 40. And starts pumping it up. Just watch the mud flap by the tire. You can see it going up. A lot easier to see it coming down. And then if you want to go back to 5 psi, I programmed that to the other button. Can't believe it worked on the first try. And here we have the final result. Rig is all hooked up. Bags are checking out. Took for a little bit of a drive today just to test it. Doesn't seem to be leaking at all. That Demco adapter plate works perfectly. Got everything set on the Sidewinder. We're actually on the 5th Airborne or whatever it's called there. Got that dialed in. Suspension is looking good. I did notice I have to air up the tires though. I'll do that later this week so it's closer to departure time. Funny story, I went to Camping World. I had to get new propane tanks because mine were expired. And when I came out, there's a whole crowd of people walking around this. All the salesmen wanted to check it out. Nobody knew what it was. And it got more attention than all the new RVs in the lot. It was pretty funny. Ended up spending about a half hour, 45 minutes talking to everybody there. They all wanted to see the inside and find out what it was, what I did, and how I got that camouflage all over the trailer. I guess they never heard of wrapping before, so that was a lot of fun. One other quick thing that I found out today was that I went to fill these 30-pound propane tanks, and what I found out was that they have an expiration date. They're rated and approved for 12 years. Once the 12 years has expired, they cannot refill them unless they are recertified, and they will only recertify them for 5 years. So since these were 2002s, and it's usually stamped in here somewhere, you can't really read it because of the overspray that's on there, but these are 2002 tanks, so 12 years would put them at 2014, and with a 5-year extension, that would put it at 2019. So instead of having them recertified, I just ended up getting new ones. My local propane fill shop and Rental Max location here had a tank for 80 bucks, and they only had one, and I needed two, so I went to Camping World, and they raped me for 105 bucks. That's after their discount. So if you need these things, see if you can find them at a local place, and try to avoid the ridiculous prices at the Camping World type places. And I think that pretty much wraps it up. I got the propane bottles changed out. I got 2 full ones in there. Turns out one of them I had was still full, so I really only needed to replace one, but I wasn't sure without taking them out, so is what it is. Got the tires pressured up, and got my tire pressure monitor system reconnected there, so I'll be able to just check it on the tire pressure on that thing before I leave next week. So with that, we're gonna call it a wrap, and we'll see you on the road.